Hi, welcome back to the Iron Triangle Garage YouTube channel. If you remember, last week this car right here, this El Camino, we beached it right there. Ran out of gas, boom, right there, died. It's cool. Today we're going to dig into the rich carburetor situation and replace this, pow, your hot rod helper fuel filter. Didn't have the clear Wix one, the one I really like to use. So this will work. I've used it before. It's fine. So let's dig in. So here's what I love about carburetors is you got your fuel connection here. I already took the manual choke cable. Disconnect your throttle leakage, 4 bolts. Carburetor comes straight off. Here's our vacuum port for the vacuum advance. Actually, no. Yes, that's vacuum advance. That's why I love carburetors. I love the way they look. I love the way they work. They do the job and they're simple. I got nothing against fuel injection. It's great. But I don't know, man. I just love carburetors. I just love the way they work. So we'll disconnect the throttle spring, transmission kick down. We'll disconnect all that, take the 4 bolts off, boop, carburetor's off. So for a Turbo 400, you have an electronic kick down. So here's a little dude that goes onto the nub on the carburetor right here. Is a little stud. This little clips on right there. All we gotta do is pull this. This is your throttle link. Right there. It goes down to the gas pedal. Now that's disconnected. Check for any vacuum connections in the back. I don't have power brakes, so I don't have a booster here that would take vacuum off the back here. So there's nothing connected back there. So now we just got to pull the 4 1/2-inch nuts right here. I usually just set them right here. Being careful not to drop them down inside. Don't get them anywhere near there. Because when I was building race cars back in the early 2000s, I was a chief engine builder for a stock car team, circle track team. And my driver was showing the engine off to a couple of his buddies. Somebody dropped a washer down inside the intake, down through here. We used to run the Holley 4412 2-barrel carburetors. Somebody dropped a washer down there. Nobody told me a thing, so I went and fired it up a couple of days later to check it for the race. All of a sudden, tap, 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 clank, 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 clank. I had to pull the engine apart and found a washer in one of the cylinders, beat up my cylinder head. And I don't know if you know anything about racing parts, man, they ain't cheap. They're expensive. Bottom line, just don't get anything near your intake. Double check all this stuff's out the way. Boom. Here's your carburetor. Also, you just put this stuff right back on here so I don't lose it. So be very careful not to let anything get down in there. I see a couple vacuum caps that look like they've seen better days. So I think I'll go get my kit out of my tool. What's going on here? What is your deal? I like that one. I didn't like the other one. What do you want from me? I don't have any money. That thing must be boogered up or something. I don't know. Have to get my tap on there, my dye on there. I'm gonna get some rags to put in the intake. Okay. Let's go have a look at that carburetor. Okay, everybody. Here is the Edelbrock 1405 600 CFM 4-barrel manual choke carburetor. So when you pull the choke, that closes that off, chokes the air supply. A little air can get in through there. Whee! So what we're going to check here, the reason I pulled this is I really want to get it dialed in. And to do that, you pour gas all over your hand. It's exactly how you do it. My wife's going to love that. Okay. So you smell like gas. Be like, yeah, well, I kind of do. I'm going to clean this too. You see all this orangey, varnishy looking stuff? So what I'm looking for right now are the transfer slots. And they are basically what transfers you from idle into cruising throttle. When the front barrels, these two smaller ones, those are cruising ones. These are your romp, let's go fast butterflies here. These are your let's kind of cruise down the street barrels. See right here at the bottom, right there, you see those little, oh come on Wes, there's those slots right there. Those are your transfer slots. I hear a lot of gas in here. I wonder about a few things. So what I want those transfer slots to look like are squares. I don't want them to be rectangular. If they're like that, it's wrong. Anything like that is wrong. You want them to be just little squares. They're a little too big for my liking. So let's get in here where I can show you. So the way to adjust those transfer slots is this screw. So this is your front of your engine here, your radiator. If you're Chevy, your distributor's back here. Your Ford, your distributor is up here. Some Mopars are back here. Some Mopars are up here. Buick, they're up here. You know what I mean. This screw right here, curb idle screw. So you're gonna roll this over so you can see your transfer slots. And we're gonna adjust this curb idle screw. I'm gonna back it off counterclockwise. So now they're pretty good little squares. I need to blow this passenger side one out. It's got a bunch of gunk in it. So now you can see that they're squares. Hello gasoline, squares. That's what we want. And you're like, but it's gonna idle too low. Maybe. What we're gonna do is use these. These are your idle mixture screws. That's gonna determine, you know, how well your car idles. Right now it's too rich. You start it up, it just stinks to high heaven. It just smells like unburnt gas, burns your eyeballs and makes your nose tingle. Okay, Edelbrocks use a metering rods, which are right in here. And they work off vacuum. I'll show you what that looks like. They're a spring. So these are metering rods right here. A little tapered dude. You can get different ones to tune your carburetor to work the way you like it to. These go down into the jet. When it comes up, it allows more fuel through. Comes into your Venturis. Makes more yes go faster. See, these pop up and down. That's what controls the fuel entering your engine when you're into the throttle. Like I said, when you're not in the throttle, these are just kicking it down here, and this is what's doing the job. These two screws here. Where my finger's at? Right here. These two screws. Generally, you don't need to mess with these. I've never had to mess with them. I mean, I guess if you're really trying to tune it for something, that's what you're gonna do. But I never have. So I generally just leave them alone. Because Edelbrock, you know, you can get different CFM carburetors for different size engines. And this is a 355, so this is a 600 CFM. That's plenty for this engine. Okay, a few things about the Edelbrock carburetors. What makes them different than like a Holley? I like them both. I got no issues with either. This is different. Your accelerator pump on a Holley is a diaphragm style. This is a plunger style. So this pushes you through, you hit the gas. Yeah. Whop. Where's it? Right here. Whop. Pushes that plunger down. That gives you the squirt of gas to kick you up in the next circuit. When I say circuit, these basically have like a ladder system. Thunderhead 289 and Junkyard Digs both give great tutorials on these carburetors. So you got an idle circuit, you got a cruising circuit, and you got the let's go fast, kick some ass, burn some tires circuit. So when you romp on it, you go from idle to cruising circuit to all four barrels ripping. And that's controlled, you know, by these, like I said, these metering rods open up via vacuum and pump fuel through. This is, the Edelbrock carburetors are based off of like the Carters and the Quadrajets, that kind of a carburetor. Kind of like a CV carburetor that comes on a Harley, early Harleys. They had a vacuum slide that pulled the needle up through the metering jet. Excuse me. And that would determine your fuel flow, how much fuel went through the engine. These are basically the same. They work on the same principle-ish. Now that we got this thing all cleaned out, I'm kind of letting it dry, looking over everything, looking at my transfer slots, make sure those are clear and clean. I still got my base plate on here, my spacer. Doesn't want to come off, and I don't want to damage the gasket. So it's happy. I'm just going to leave it alone. Actually gives me a little bit of space so I can mess with my throttle. Yeah, yeah, just like that. So now that this is all cleaned up, I could go further and clean up the outside, make it look pretty again. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. Let's go put it back on the car and get it all plumbed up, get some fuel into it, and see if we can do something with these. I'll use a vacuum gauge. I have a vacuum gauge back here. Put it on this port right here. That's your manifold vacuum port. Everything below your throttle blades is this right here. So that's your manifold vacuum. I gotta get some new plugs, man. These are looking pretty shabby. All right, let's do that. So here we are all back together. I went ahead and ran a 5/16 by 28 die down that stud there. Took some of the boogery out of it, so it works good now. So I'm gonna put some gas in it. Got a couple gallons of gas in the can, and we'll see where we're at. I'll put a vacuum gauge on here, and we'll see what it's pulling. We'll adjust these. I'll show you how to do that. Yeah, so let's do it. Hey bud, what you doing?
Hey, I'm taking apart a TIE fighter that's made out of Lego so I can rebuild it.
That's pretty cool, man. Just for fun?
Yep.
Learn how it goes together, how it comes apart?
Pretty much.
Nice.
It's going to start as this little dome. It's going to start as this little dome right here. How they usually turn out before they're all like fully built.
Yeah.
That's how I'm gonna make it.
Wicked cool. That's how I started building stuff. Lego.
So first.
Hot rodder in the making. Right?
First I put these here. 2 here. 2 here. I grab the wing. These dots, you just put those 3 on there, and you stab it right in.
Look at that.
Oh, and if this falls off, you just pop it on. This one, you just pop it on.
Yep.
And you bend it.
Nice. Let's put the other wing on, see what it looks like.
You get it lined up first.
Check it out.
Full TIE fighter.
Wicked!
Yeah.
Go.
So I'm still working on this one, but I'm going to show you how you trigger the lasers after I put this apart.
Photon torpedoes.
What you do is you push it down. Putting my hand there so it doesn't blast. It can go very far.
Show a blast. Back up so I can see it.
Is you just push it down.
Oh yeah. Well, that
and it
sounds good.
smacks.
Nice. Ooh, got power.
It's very hard, fast, and it can go very far.
Sweet. Here I'm going to go ahead and install the vacuum gauge. You can hear the whistle when I pull the cap off of the manifold port. The gauge is going to show the vacuum a little bit on the lower side of the green area. I want to get a little bit higher. So in the next clip I'm going to reset the idle mixture screws 1.5 turns out from fully closed, so all the way in. I'll back it out 1.5 turns. So go out, start it off at 1.5, see where that is. So we'll bury this one down all the way till it seats. Don't crush it. You don't need to bury it so it hurts it, but 1/2, half. So that's 1.5 per screw. So backing out the screw lets more fuel in. Tightening the screw down leans the engine out. Just so we know what that does. So I buried it, backed it out 1.5 turns, buried it, backed it out 1.5 turns. We'll see where our idle is, and we'll turn it a little bit each time. If it doesn't go anywhere, we'll leave it at 1.5. If it's better at 2, we'll leave it at 2. So you just want to find out what your engine likes, and then you go from there. Vacuum's kind of low. I want to see if we can get it up a little bit. Here I'm adding small increments of fuel. I'm backing the screw out little, like 8 turns at a time, to see how the engine reacts, how the vacuum reacts, how the RPMs react. You can see the vacuum gauge went up a little bit and the RPMs went up a little bit, which is exactly what I was trying to accomplish here. Test drive time! Let's go! Right out of the gate, have a little fun with this Subi up here and this Charger you're going to see come up on the left. Kind of cruise together all the way down the road here, and a little back and forth. It was pretty fun. I don't know if you could hear it there, but pulling away from stop signs, stop lights, and near stop situations, it did have a little bit of a stumble. So you'll see a little bit later here, we'll address that. So every time I would come out of a stop, it would just keep hesitating, and it wouldn't be a smooth transition into power. So I figured now is a good time to pull over in this empty parking lot up here and fool with the idle mixture screws a little more. This is why we test drive them, guys. I don't love it. I'm gonna give it a little more fuel. See, it's smoothing out a little bit already. You can use all the gauges you want to, but drivability really is the tell-all. Got a valve cover leak over here. Go back in the car. A little rough off the get, so let's see if that change helped anything. Alright, doesn't feel like it's gonna die and drive now. Doesn't feel like it's gonna cut out on me. Oh yeah, yep. No, we're not stumbling anymore. Oh yeah, okay. It liked that. It liked that a lot. Just about 1/8 of a turn on the mixture screws, and now it's pretty happy. Yep. Definitely. All right. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. The idle is way better, much smoother. This thing was buried up to the hubs in a ditch, a washout, a gully. I had to get a wrecker to drag it out. It's come a long way. New wheels, tires, engine, transmission, drive shaft. Rear end's been serviced, new radiator. Like I said, it still needs a ton of work. But she's a ripper. Not a lot of squeaks though. You know, old car squeaks. Someday I'll address all that. Okay guys, I think that's gonna do it for this video. As you can see, that was kind of the ins and outs of tuning a carburetor. Make your engine happy, really, is what it comes down to. I started off with a setting of 1.5 turns out. As you can see, I did a couple fine adjustments, about 1/8 of an inch turn out. To give it a little more fuel, was a lot more happy. As you can see by the burnout, it was much happier. And it had a lot more punch off the line. It definitely did not burn my eyeballs out and melt my nose hairs when I started it this time. So that's nice. I like that. Saved me a little on the fuel side of things. So that's it, really. It's just, you know, use your that's fuel injected, so it doesn't count. But that's it for this time. If you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. Hit me up with a subscribe. And then check out this video where I found the car. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.